How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well, and this is part number 3 of our trilogy. So, the last video was, a little bit of a downer because I revealed a lot of stuff that I hid from you guys, and again, I apologize for hiding that from you guys, but I've learned, I've grown, I've been eating my veggies, I'm getting my sleep, I have cut back on my caffeine, and I've been thinking a lot more clearly. So, in my pursuit of happiness, I've been trying to figure out, what makes me happy. And one of the things that I mentioned in the first part was cartoons. And I thought, maybe let's go back and see if there were some things that interested me. And sure, it did bring a bit of happiness and joy, like the old SpongeBob and the old Dexter's Laboratory that, brought me happiness, which was for sure true. But there was one show that ignited a brand new multicolored spark. And that show, as you can see behind, is called Gravity Falls. This show has ignited a brand new light in me, and it's this show that has given me a new creative outlook on life. So, I watched the show from beginning of March until beginning of May. I watched 4 episodes every week for a total of 10 weeks, so there's a total of 40 episodes. And sure, it took me a couple of episodes for me to get into the show, but I would probably say by the end of season 1, I was hooked. And yeah, I would say there are 5 things about that show that I absolutely love. So reason number 1 is the story. The overarching story, I might add. Because with other cartoon shows, there might be little episodes and each little episode has its own story. But I've hardly seen a cartoon show that has an overarching story. And Gravity Falls has that. Number 2 is the background designs. I love the forest background and the fact that they're in the mountains as well. I don't know if it's a different art style in the background. I don't know if they did paint versus drawing, or I don't know what they did, but it is gorgeous and I love it. Number 3 is the character designs. I love that they are indeed people, but they're not super highly detailed like King of the Hill. But you can tell that they're people, and I like that. I'm glad because, as a person myself, I can, relate. Number 4, and this is more of a personal thing that I like, and that is the relationship / story arc between Dipper and Wendy, Dipper's crush. And that's just more of a personal thing because I, have had a story in middle school where I had a major crush on someone, but she was just not interested in me. And just seeing it from an outside perspective gives me new light on that moment when I was a child. And then number 5, which is a very rare thing to see, not just in cartoons, but in shows in general, and that is a solid conclusion. I actually did record myself watching the final episode of Gravity Falls. I don't plan to release it, but it reminded me, and after I recorded it, I watched it over, and I felt so happy. Sure, I wish the show would have continued on, but I'm also glad that it concluded and it had a very solid, finite conclusion. And I love that, and I would put Gravity Falls as one of, if not my most favorite cartoon. And remember, I'm a 90s kid. I'm a 90s cartoon kid. So, yeah, Gravity Falls did a lot, and I am more than pleased with how the entire show went. So, now that you know that I've been watching Gravity Falls, how does that tie into what my future plans are, which is the big topic of this final video? Well, I'm going to be let's talk about the short-term goals and short-term plans first. And I don't have a specific timeline on this because it's going to be one of those things where it's I'm going to feel it out, and then it's when the moment is right, I will know. And starting off, I am going to be taking a very hard step back. And this is something I probably should have done last year. I'm taking a very hard step back. I am not creating any major projects. I am not creating anything massive. I'm not going to be, digging hard to the paint, staying up, several hours a night, becoming sleep deprived, becoming insane. I've learned that, and I'm not going to do that. No, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a lot of learning. And it's funny because in a previous episode, I think it was the transition Grifftalks, where I talked about changing my brand. It was one of the things where it's like I said I was going to do one of, because I was still at the time thinking I was going to do NR 2003 content. Well, now I'm going to be spending all my time, or at least what time I still have, because I'm still doing the full-time job. And that job is very important to me because, again, I'm learning a lot from it, but also financially, it's kind of helping me financially prepare for this next step. And so I thank them for that. So while I'm doing this full-time job, whatever time I have left, I am going to be learning by either reading books or doing. And what I mean by doing is, as I mentioned before, I do have the Adobe products now. So Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects, Audition, and others. And I'm going to be learning them. I'm going to be learning them front to back. I'm going to learn all the different features that they have to offer. And I want to spin them to more of an animated way. And that's something that I want to pursue and try. And it's something that time-wise, I don't know how long it is going to take. But I want to get comfortable with pretty much the whole animation area. So what that leads into is I want to learn how to make my own animated series or animated movie. I want to take the steps to learn how to set that all up, including the actual animation, like having them move their hands or whatever. Also storyboard, how to set that up, framing, and anything else, the design, we're just learning and working on designs in general. All of it. I want to learn it all so that I know it all front to back. And then I can figure out what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and we can go from there. And again, it's one of those things where it's like I'm not going to know until I actually do something about it. And I am going to stop talking because, again, I'm not a big fan of these talking videos. I want to make stuff. And once I'm done talking, I am going to start creating stuff. Going to create a mess. Who knows? So what you'll see on not just YouTube, but also on my other social media as well, including Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, is samples. Samples and little snippets of different things. And I'm thinking of different either designs, different stills, painting, drawing different designs on either Photoshop or Illustrator. And I actually have some paper as well, so I might go ahead and draw some stuff in real life, with an actual pen and pencil, take a picture of it, show it off on social media. And then on YouTube, what I'm thinking of doing is some animated shorts. And off the main focus will probably be traditional 2D animation. But I also may go ahead and dabble with other animation, including stop motion animation. Just trying different things out, experimenting with different things. But one thing that I'm not a big fan of saying is the whole dream of, making a living off of YouTube, unless something really sparks out of these samples, I don't know if it's going to come to fruition. And again, anything can happen. I can make something and a lot of people would like it and things can move forward in a more positive direction, but I don't know. And for right now, that is not my concern, because I know that there are people that are churning out videos left and right, and they're getting a lot of subscribers, a lot of views and whatnot. I, one, don't have the time, and two, I don't have what do you call it? I want to create stuff. As much as I have massive respect for commentators and let's players and the people that do make lots and lots of videos, I do have mass respect for them. But for what I want to do personally, I would rather, like, that's the route that I want to go, is I want to create something, create a new series, create a new show, create something to make you guys think. And so, yeah, that's the route I'm going to go in with different portfolios. And the biggest thing then is, to those that do plan on staying, what I ask from you is just feedback on my stuff. And I'll ask specific questions on different things like, does this character look right? Should the nose on this character be a little bigger? Or should this person have 4 toes or 5 toes? Or should this talking animal, should it be a frog or a toad or a dog? Stupid little things that I'll ask. And so the biggest thing I want to say before we move on to the long term is, I do not want to go at this alone. I made that mistake with One More Spark, and I thought I could do it all by myself, and that was a big mistake on my end. So moving forward, to those of you that are willing to stay, that want to stay with me on this journey, having that feedback on those things would be very important. And then also, I just want to get into contact with other people and more people, just to kind of like build those connections, because you know what they say, it's not what they know, it's who they know. And by they, I mean me. Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say too, in the short term, one thing that I want to say that I'm not going to abandon at all is collaborations. So, I'll have my email below, griff88fan@gmail.com. If there's anything that you guys want me to collaborate on, or like, have my voice or footage or whatever, like for example, recently Raw Gator had a little meme and I did some voice for that. If there's anything that you want me to help you guys with, hit me up and we can work something out. Which, on that note, I know I haven't talked much at all about NASCAR. Just because of what I've dealt with in the past, I do plan for a little bit to move away from NASCAR a little bit, just to kind of focus on my own content and focus on stuff that I want to do, which I know is selfish, and I know that a lot of you guys are not going to like that. What I'm thinking is, maybe, hopefully at some point, maybe 4 or 5 months down the road, maybe I would be sick of not doing NASCAR, and I, wish I could go back to NASCAR content, and then I'd maybe have a breath of fresh air, and then maybe make some more different NASCAR content. But on that note, what I also want to throw is Grifftalks. Every once in a while, I'll still do Grifftalks on something that interests me, and that could be NASCAR or not. And then one thing just for the NASCAR people as well, I will do the Ask Griff Anything once a month still. Even though there isn't one here at the end of this month because I'm making this trilogy. I'll for sure do one at the end of this month, and maybe I'll do another one maybe at the middle of this month, just to kind of make up for not doing it at the end of this month. But at that time, if there is any NASCAR questions or thoughts, like for example, if there is some drama that happened at Pocono or Michigan, and if you want to get my opinion on it, go ahead and ask and we can talk about it. So the thing is, and the point is, I still do love NASCAR. I still do love NR 2003 because I still have that game on my computer. It's just that for what I want to do as a career, and I want to emphasize career, I just don't know if I could do NR 2003 forever. Because think about it, like in 2033, which surprisingly is not long from now, NR 2003 will be 30 years old. And so my question is that game still going to be functional at that time? If there ends up being like a NR 2003 or 2003, like more present day, like someone has built a new game and it has the capabilities of doing camera control master, and I can move wherever I want without it like glitching out, then absolutely I would possibly go back, and if I can get enough support and if I can get, that creative drive back to do that, then absolutely. But for the short term, probably not going to happen. So I do want to preface that. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, comment section is open in the comment section down below. So now let's talk about long term. What do I plan to do in the far future? Because I talked about career a little bit in the short term. Well, to start things off, I want to get lost in the animation industry. And biggest reason why is there's rumors going around saying that the animation industry is dying, everything has got to be real, it's got to be realistic. I 100% disagree with that. There is so much potential that you can do in animation that would look absolutely disgusting in real life. And I want to pursue that route. And so one of the things that's with that is possibly moving. Because as you know, right now I am here in the heartland of South Dakota where, Mount Rushmore is right next door. I'm kidding. Mount Rushmore is like more than 300 miles away from me. I want to move to somewhere warmer. Somewhere where it isn't cold in the winter, in the I want to die winter cold. My thinking is possibly move to California. I don't know who I'm going to meet down there. I don't know what's all down there other than, Hollywood and where pretty much the movie and film industry is. But possibly move closer there. And when I say possibly, I want to move there. And that's my goal, is to move down there and get lost in the animation industry. Now, what do I mean by get lost? I want to pick up different jobs, different opportunities, different gigs that are in the animation industry, whether that is an animator or a storyboard designer or even a voice actor. Who knows? Just pick up different little things just so that I can get my name out there in the animated industry. And then my ultimate goal, long term, and I would even consider it a bucket list goal, is to create my own show. Kind of like the Dale Earnhardt series. Create my own series, and one that is that is mainstream, that is out there, that anyone could see and anyone would be willing to see. And if it all works out, and if I could talk to the right people, maybe I could hire those people, have them be other voice actors, or help along the way, and create something magnificent. And if I can get it to relate somehow to NASCAR, then hey, more bonus points, right? So the question then that is asked is, Griff, if you do make it this far, what would your show be about? Well, this is where my past experience, I think, comes into play. And that, I believe, is the power of what if. Not what if racing. I mean, I could do a show about how what if racing is the king of the land and he make sure that he doesn't send it in, NASCAR Forza 6 or in NASCAR Heat 3. He has this little, I don't know. I'm just going off. But the what if, the idea of what if you go this route instead of that route? Or what if a person is alive? Or what if a person accidentally dies or something like that? I don't know. But just the idea of what if, the idea of theories, and the idea of time travel. Because I have a specific idea of how time travel works, and I don't want to share that with you because I'd rather want to show it instead of tell it. And then I just love the idea of just thinking logically in an illogical space. And it sounds so weird, but that's the weirdness in me. I love the idea of trying to make logic out of something that is so far-fetched or so weird. And how there are some movies and shows, for example Avengers Endgame, without getting into spoilers, there are some inconsistencies in the film. Well, one thing I love doing, and maybe we could talk about this down the road, is how would I fix Avengers Endgame with the whole, stuff going on in the film? Because again, I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, tightening up loose plot holes is something that does intrigue me, and then I could use that to create my own show where there is a lot of logic and something where it's every frame has some meaning behind it. I don't like the idea of having something there because it looks cool. Sure, I can make it look cool, but I want there to be meaning behind that. And it's a shame that I wish I could have done this more with the NASCAR stuff, but because I don't have as much time, I could not get as creative with that. But once I have the finances and once I can get going on this ship, I am willing to explode. And I'm willing to explode in a very creative way and make some of the most deepest, but also most sincere original content out there. And again, I don't have like specific details on what the show will be about because, it's best to have multiple ideas and to be confident with each of those ideas, because if something sticks, I can run with it and I can be happy with it. So yeah, that is my plan of attack. That is where I'm going to go. And again, this is not going to be like, I'm going to do this right away. I'm not going to do it like tomorrow. It's going to take time because financially I'm not in the best of spots, but I'm working on it, literally. And that's my goal. So to wrap this up, one of the reasons why this route, why I'm going this way, is because of Disney's route with the real life, quote unquote, movies. I love the 90s Disney films, like Hercules, Lion King, Aladdin, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Tarzan, just to name a few, and then also Toy Story and A Bug's Life. Side note, Hercules was the first ever movie I saw in the theaters, and so if you want to calculate the age, I was roughly around 3 or 4 when that movie came out. So when they decided to go about the real life route, it kind of bothered me a little bit because the cartooniness really made it genuine, and I want to bring that back. And side note, one thing I do want to add if I do create my own show, I like the idea of it on the visually, have it look more, kid friendly, and have the focus be more around either middle schoolers or high schoolers. But when you actually get into the deeper story, the deeper meaning, deeper logic, that is where I want to get complicated. And I could see some, execs being turned off, and it's like, oh, that might be too complicated for the kids. Well, I want this show to have multiple watches, where it's like every time you watch it, you pick up something new. And the hopeful thing is, like, as a kid, you could watch it and enjoy it for either some of the funny stuff and some of the visuals, but then when you watch it again as an adult, you can pick up more on the story, and it's like, wow, that's a good story. And again, for the short term, I plan on, sharpening the, I can't think of it, but like, I'm practicing it, and I want to make it work. And of course, having help from, friends will help out as well. And so, to wrap this up, I am on the pursuit of happiness. And so is everyone else. We are all on the pursuit of happiness. Like, we all want to figure out what makes us happy, what do we want to do so that we can work on it, but we can also make a career out of it, and that makes us happy. And it's one of those things where it's like, it feels weird with this animation route. Like, it almost feels like it comes out of nowhere, but looking back on my childhood and then looking at what I've dealt with recently, in a way, it kind of makes sense. It makes sense, but it took me so long to think about it, and at 25 years old, I want to give back to the younger generation. And I think this is the best way of going about it. And again, biggest thing is I gotta prove myself, and I can talk my butt off. But the best way to prove to an investor or anyone to show that I'm actually legit and I'm worth something is to make something and to show that I can make something. And so for the time being, that is what I'm going to do. So yeah, that is the route. I am a creator, not a performer. I am going to keep making stuff. I am not leaving anywhere. It does suck that the Enter 2003 stuff is going to be done, at least for now. But who knows? I do ask that you guys do stick around, because who knows? Maybe I might make an Enter 2003 thing down the road. But yeah, long story short, guys, I'm excited. I am very, very excited about the future. And I'm very excited to see what is to come. I'm very excited to figure out who I'm going to meet, who is going to be in my life. And the sun is finally going to peek on through, and it's finally going to be a warm, great time. So with that being said, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, comment section is open for talk. Otherwise, if you want to reach me more directly, my DMs are open on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then if you want to reach me more directly, my email is griff88fan@gmail.com. Alright, so that is it. I believe that is all I have to say. Yeah, guys, look out for new content coming up. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and this is GriffinSpier saying so long, until next time.